All right. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for watching our videos. This is Patty here. And, something really awesome happened the other week. I got a Facebook message from a lovely lady who's been in our Facebook group for a little while now. I remember seeing her name, and she was very engaged and was actively cleansing. And she sent me a message saying, Patty, I want you to interview me. My life has completely changed because of this cleanse and this journey. And I was just like, oh my God, awesome. So we scheduled it. And here we are. This is Lexis. I would love to introduce her. And, we have an amazing Facebook group, and she is one of our members in the Facebook group. So what I'd love to do, Lexis, is just pass it over to you to summarize your journey. Maybe tell us where you were before you found Candida Cleanser, how you found us, and some of your steps, some of your process to explain some of that to us.
Okay. Thank you, Patty. So pretty much it's like, where do you start after going through all of the challenges of Candida and finally taking it on against Western Pharma and doing something for yourself and being scared, like, where do I begin? Well, I will say that I would begin, my personal story is experiencing pretty much one day my whole life changed. I was realizing that I had all of these sensitivities to foods. I was getting urinary tract infections, yeast infections, athlete's foot, hives, joint pain, any symptom you can possibly think about. And I went into the doctor, and I was sitting on a hospital bed, and they only diagnosed me with the UTI, bacterial vaginosis, and yeast. And it was the day that I found out what was wrong with me was a year ago, pretty much today. And I asked them for the first time in my life, after suffering from these UTIs and suffering, and I said, what is the name of my yeast? And I don't, maybe you can help me, Patty, but it was like candidiasis, or I call it Candida, but the terminology for it.
Candidi,
See, I can
type it, but you can't even say it. It's like candidiasis, candida.
Candidiasis or something. Yeah.
Like
Candida. So and I'm like, can you say that again? And they're like, it's Candida. So once again, I was handed a prescription. The one thing, though, that was really different this time was I had brain fog. And the brain fog was so bad that I thought at 27 that I was having onset Alzheimer's. So I'm sitting in this hospital chair. They're prescribing me antibiotics I've been prescribed a million times before that I've actually had become immune to. And my system, my body started to reject them. And it would only worsen any time I would get another UTI or yeast infection. So I went home and I sat on the computer, and I was completely depressed, and I could barely stay awake, feeling lethargy and whatnot. And I researched Candida. And the first thing that came up was the Candida diet. And I looked at that computer screen and I thought, never will I ever do this diet. This is insane. But then something clicked in me. As sick as I was, as fed up as I was with, paying the copay, paying out of pocket, taking the pills that were prescribed to me, not getting correct answers. And I thought, what am I putting into my body? I don't even know. My whole life I've been taking these pills, and I've only gotten sicker. Something's not right. And so I sat down and I started reading about Candida, the Candida diet, and it said Candida feeds off sugar and starch. And for the last 2 years of my life, not including this year, 2 years prior, so 3 years, I had been having these insane sugar cravings. Like, I would eat pie for dinner, lunch, and breakfast. Like, and then I would feel incredibly sick after. And I thought, this isn't normal. Like, I love sweets, but I'm eating them and they're making me sick now. I'm drinking liquor, and I used to be able to handle a few drinks. Now I'm getting sick off of a few sips. Like, something's not right. So a year ago, I decided to start the Candida diet, and cold turkey, I quit everything. I quit it all. Anything that I couldn't have, I stopped that day just to see if this diet would work. So yeah, I mean, it was insane. I started that, and then I read a lot about it, and it said that I would, if I had Candida, I would experience die-off. And if any of you are starting the Candida diet, I will say this, a year later, if I could say this to anybody, it would be that your health is so important, and indulging and eating these foods, a lot of them are vices. I mean, we enjoy it. Everyone around us enjoys the foods that we can't have. It's really emotionally and physically and mentally tiring. I could cry just talking about it, but the advice that I would give to you is, what is more important? Going a year without these foods to kill something that's infesting your body. There are things that you can eat. There are ways and recipes that you can follow that will guide you into an easier process of this, but also quitting these foods with your die-off, you will realize how much your body is suffering, and eventually you won't want to pick up what's killing you. And especially those in later stages of Candida, it will take your memory, it'll take your mental health, it'll take your physical health, and it will change your relationships, and it will change your life. And like, tackling it head on is really scary, but you have it in you to do it. If there's like the littlest bit of motivation or power you have left, I recommend you use it to a Candida safe diet, so you can, start somewhere and see then how your body reacts, as far as ridding your body of this. The only way to kill it is to starve it, and obviously help with what I'll later talk about with the CCWs. But so yeah, my advice would be to dive in and be proud of it, because eventually you will become healthy. You will see a die-off that will most likely be worse than what you're feeling now. But just think about, any time you see a die-off symptom, that's Candida getting out of your body. And because you've chosen a healthier diet and pathway in your life, like you've said no to what you're taught in society, the food that we're fed every single day on commercials, on billboards, our passerbys eating next to us, and almost every restaurant that goes up in America is filled with sugar and starch and dairy and alcohol and gluten and all these things that we're told is healthy for you, So, and that's another reason it's really hard. I know other states are better, other countries are better about it, but I come from Wisconsin, so there's like nothing here to go to. I've been cooking in a small kitchen now for a year to get to where I'm at, so.
Yeah, and what's scary is that other countries have been better, but they're starting to get the same problems, and they're starting to decline as well because of the modern Western foods that are coming into their countries and becoming popularized and kind of like the cool thing to eat. And so it's interesting. So 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 first you started with the Candida diet, and did you start to have die off already just from starting the diet? And at what point did CCWS come into the picture for you?
Okay, so I quit. I followed a strict Candida diet, and I what I noticed was everything. I mean, everything worsened. My joint pain was unbearable. My oral thrush, which we all talk about and we all hate because it's external and you can see it, and you know, our mouths, we talk with them, we kiss with them. It's like invasive, like it's like there all the time. It's so hard to get rid of. Um, but so the joint pain, the oral thrush, my headaches were horrible. I couldn't stay awake. I had to work, and none of my coworkers were really supportive. And this support group is so awesome because I would come home after work just like crying to my partner, and he would understand, but if he didn't understand enough, I could always go to the support group and go to people that were experiencing the same thing I was. But yeah, so the coffee withdrawals were really bad. I'm sure we all know about that. Like, and just a tidbit, I use ginseng energy, like a natural American and Asian ginseng blend. I used maca, chicory root, peppermint, like things that were, I would mix them with water, and they eventually helped. But the lethargic feeling that I had from no coffee eventually subsided because your body acclimates. You start to gain energy from the food. And now your body's so sensitive that you're realizing, wow, if I eat this bowl of broccoli with, ginger, garlic, or whatever, all of a sudden I'm awake. And so I guess, so yeah, I did. I had horrible die-off, and with the caffeine withdrawals and the alcohol withdrawals came a very dark depression. I mean, like the worst depression I've ever had. I've had anxiety my whole life. I think we all have a bit of it, but from the extreme change and not being able to eat out or drink or go on dates or, just the joys of life, I became extremely depressed in my body while, this heavy, dark veil of Candida was like leaving me. I was also very sad. And so, but eventually your body adjusts to the diet, and eventually your sugar cravings lessen, and eventually you get your energy back. And if there is, like for me, there was a lingering depression with how much my life had changed because of the diet. And I never realized that diet could change my health, which was scary. I was so sick that I thought something's like, more people should know this. What the hell is going on? Like my whole like thought process changed. But then I started your brain fog kind of goes away little by little. And I really recommend, like, something that helped me through my anxiety and depression was practicing yoga, breathing, cooking things, reading articles, finding things I could eat, putting together concoctions that would like fill my void I was having and whatnot. But okay, so before, because it took all of these about 11 months to go away. So about 6 months in, I was on the Candida diet. I was having die-off, but I still was feeling joint painy. I still was getting headaches here and there if I slipped up on an accident. So I was at work and I was totally crying at work, and I worked in retail at the time. And I think I Googled something like Candida killer Eastern medicine or something like that, because I had already researched Western pharma to know that the antibiotics I were taking for so long actually cleared me out of anything good I had. So I found CCWs popped up, and I was like, what is this? I have no idea. But then I started to read the reviews. I looked up what Lufrin was. Am I saying that right? Lufrin?
Lufeneron, yeah.
Lufeneron. And I started reading reviews on this, and they were all really positive. And I thought, okay, and I'm not even kidding, at the time I had exactly the amount of money I needed to get that to the US, that bottle of CCWS. And I thought, this is my last resort. Because I was still, like I was feeling better, but it was not 100%. And when you're not 100%, you have days where you're really low. And I was having a really low day. And that is the day I realized diet can cure you in a long amount of time. But if you have additional support for your ailments, like CCWS, to break down the chitin, which is what I learned about the Candida albicans in my body, if I had that additional support, maybe I could make more progress. So I ordered CCWS on a whim. I emptied my bank account. I got it I live in Wisconsin, so I got it like a month and a half later. It was like Christmas. I couldn't wait. And like Patty seemed nice. Like, I don't know, I was in the support. I don't know what I was doing. I told my family, yeah, I ordered this like chitin and, killer from Asia. And they're like, what are you talking about? And I'm just like, just cross your fingers, Patty's like, you're crazy. But so I start taking the CCWS immediately. And if you do have Candida, they say you'll see it exit your body. So I seen it in my stool. Like I started taking CCWS and I started seeing look like shells in my stool. And, the parasites and whatnot. And I would have die-off really bad with the CCWS. And it's like the die-off came back strong as heck. And then I would feel great. Like I would get through the CCWS, the 45 days, and I just slowly started to feel like the symptoms were finally leaving me. Like the brain fog was finally gone. Like I could think again. Like I could, and the prep with the diet definitely helped. And when the CCWS, it just hit hard, and everyone's like, is this normal to experience die-off? But yeah, because what you're doing is you're breaking down that shell, and that's spreading through your body, and it's like exiting. Of course, you're going to feel extremely sick. And so then I gave CCWS a break, and I felt good. And I went on probiotics and sacrability. Is it sacrability? I don't know if I'm saying it right. And turmeric and vitamin C, about 2,000 to 4,000 milligrams a day of vitamin C and turmeric. And then I was like, you know what? I'm going to do it again. Just even though I was feeling pretty good, I still had residual headaches if I were to reintroduce food. So I thought, I'm going to try CCWS again. So I did CCWS again. And then that was the last time I did it. And here I am a year later, and I am Still on the same regimen as far as probiotics and vitamins go, which I don't think is a bad thing, but my brain fog is completely gone. My headaches are gone. I have not had a UTI in a year, which is crazy because I've had them my whole life. What are some other, the only thing that I still experience, and it could just be because I am reintroducing so many new foods, which I will tell you about, but I still occasionally have a little bit of joint pain that flares up. And with diet change, that's not really, sometimes when we're healing and we're doing really good, we immediately think that something is from Candida. It very well could be, or it could just be that I'm stressing my body out. It could be from stress. It could be from anything. So I still do take my turmeric for it. But other than that, I've shed 20 pounds. I have no acne at all. Like anything that's ever happened to my face, like the diet, the CCWs, like my thrush is gone. It worked. And I feel the healthiest I have ever felt in a really long time. There are still some GI issues with my diet, I think, because it changed so drastically that I have to take some fiber supplements sometimes. But yeah, I am every day I'm implementing a healthier diet or reintroducing new food or talking to somebody that is experiencing something that I've gone through. It's crazy, especially over here in the States. Like there are a lot of sick people and they are lost, and a lot with Candida. Totally. It's a scary, scary thing.
Yeah. Well, I'd love to address, just to kind of relate to what you're going through. I also went through similar things where reintroducing foods on the gut can definitely trigger inflammation if your gut isn't quite ready. It's usually like the usual suspects are grains, any grains, and some might hit you harder than others. Like for me, because I ate rice all my life, I had actually developed an intolerance to rice. And so for the longest time, I was trying to avoid gluten, which I also was really bad with gluten. Like it was really bad. But once I actually did CCWs and I started the GAPS intro and I was doing broth and I had eliminated everything, and it was like I felt freaking amazing. My gut was so vulnerable from all the damage and from all those years of leaky gut and everything that if I even ate the tiniest little bit of rice, it would explode my sinus allergies.
Wow.
I was my sinuses because that was the chosen pathway of my Candida release, was like the worst through my sinuses. And so I had to avoid rice for almost 2 years before I could eat it again with no reaction. And today I can eat rice. Yes. I can even eat a little, but like I'll eat rice like once or twice a week now. And it's not even just like a tiny little bit, which I used to only be able to try a tiny little bit and wait for reaction. But now I can go to a Thai restaurant with my partner and we can order like a noodle dish, a rice noodle dish, and some other things, and we can share everything, and I'm totally fine. And so what you said about the skin, yeah, so truly once you heal the gut and you really seal, heal, and repopulate, that's the biggest thing is seal, heal, repopulate. And once you do, you can get your body back to like a compost machine, right? And compost machines are like, if you put all the right bacteria and all the right things into it, it just burns everything off. A really good compost machine. I used to live in a community, and the guy who did our compost, he was super proud of his compost because you could put meat products into it. A lot of times you can't. It'll turn into like a nasty festering thing. And so it's kind of like that with your gut. Like if you get your compost machine, your microbiome more balanced, really robust, you're going to be able to eat the in moderation, in a healthy amount, some rice and sugars and maybe even gluten, or and that's why some people can seem to eat anything, and it's because their microbiome is just much stronger. And we're all unique, we're all bio individual, we all have a unique health history. We all inherit our mother's microbiome, who inherited her mother's microbiome, and so on. And that line could be so different for every unique human, right? So we kind of sometimes on this journey have to look backwards at our health history, maybe our mother's history, were we breastfed, were we formula raised, how much antibiotics did we have, how bad did I destroy my gut, and then was my mom also destroyed, was my grandmother's gut destroyed? And so then depending on that, some people need that really strict GAPS intro to help seal and just take that break from everything and just focus on the healing. And that's what GAPS intro does. But yeah, I think that you're already well on your way, and now you're just learning where your body is at right now. But I have a feeling that as long as you stay on the path of continuing to repair your gut, you're young, and your body will heal faster than mine would today, because I'm almost 40, and it's like we're all different, right? So thank you. I have to attribute it to CCWs. Totally clearing the Candida, and then helping me to live a lifestyle where I'm not always conflicted with food. Because before it was like rationally I knew what I needed to do, but I didn't have the will power to do it. And what's also funny, considering you talked about yoga, is the third chakra is the will center. And the third chakra is right behind your navel, at your gut.
Wow, I didn't know.
Think about that, when Candida hijacks your will center, and you think that your whole life revolves around food. That's kind of how I felt when I was younger, was like my whole life revolved around food. I had to always have something, and I was super addicted. And then when I knew what I needed to do to get healthy, it was so hard until I actually got the Candida out. Once I got the Candida out, it was super easy to stay. I had to learn, because we're so brainwashed to think, oh yeah, rice and this and that. But so then you have to realize, yeah.
And even after, almost a year of this, like, there are still things like I understand my body, and your body will become, if it's not now, in the beginning, because mine sure as heck was, and I could put whatever into it, and I never connected my stomach with my brain ever. Now, if I eat something that upsets me, I'm a little bit more cognizant about it. I'm like, okay, I can't have a ton of potatoes. My body just doesn't want it right now. Like, those things, they're still hard for me to, or let's say it's not trouble reintroducing them. It's being aware of how you feel when you reintroduce something for about 3 days. Do you have anxiety? Is your stomach backed up? Are you tired? I just reintroduced potatoes, and I ate them every day for 3 days, because that's what you're supposed to do, and not reintroduce anything else, but have them 3 times, or 1 time a day for 3 days, and then see how your body reacts. And here I am now, after doing that for 3 days, and I'm having stomach issues. So obviously that starchy white potato, my body wasn't ready for it. So I'm going to go on to something else. I'm going to try a sweet potato or something. But there's so many foods in the world. And here's another thing that's I still have trouble with: being hard on yourself when you slip up. I'm sure a lot of us go through that, and it's real. We take this so seriously because it's our health, that your body reacts when you're stressed. So if you slip up and you stress about it, that's going to be a double whammy. If you can just accept what happened and try not to do it again, your body's going to heal twice as fast. I'm still learning to do that, you know.
I love that you bring that. I'm so happy you brought that up because it's so true. And you know, another thing that happens, like what you said, the whole gut and brain connection, is some of that feeling really hard on yourself is also part of the inflammation that just happened. You can feel really depressed for like 2 weeks after you eat
Yeah.
something that injures your gut. And I say that sometimes, it's like it just injured your gut. And so, you
Yes.
know, my starches in potato, grains, some of the lactose in dairy, any of the anti-nutrients that are
Right.
even in plant foods, it's kind of
Fructose, like fructose, just like
fructose.
you try a fruit that maybe doesn't, you know, like I'm eating all fruit now, but there are some things that I can only eat half of, or I'll get a headache, you know, but I can eat it all in moderation is the key.
So the
Yeah.
reason why the starches create the inflammation so much in the gut is, imagine your gut. So your gut is like we're like a tube, right? And we have skin on the outside, and then we have skin on the inside that goes in a tube all the way down. We have an opening here, and then we have an opening down there, right? Really
Right.
the long squiggly tube. And that tube, when you've damaged it from the foods, and then the candida damages the gut, pokes all these holes into it. And then you have like a wounded skin inside, right? So imagine if I took this part of my skin and I just sat here with my nail, just scratching it for 20 minutes. This is
Right.
kind of eating a food that could inflame your gut, potentially. Let's say this is potatoes, but my skin is healthy, right? So after 20 minutes of scratching my wrist here, I'm not going to have like an open wound, but you can almost kind of start seeing it's already turning pink, right? It's getting a little irritated, but it's fine. It's going to heal up by the next day. It's going to heal up by an hour later from right now. But
Right.
now let's imagine there's some little cuts right there. And then you eat the potato and it scratches those cuts for 20 minutes. Boom. It's like, you just opened up those cuts. They aren't able to fully heal. So that's why you avoid the starch, because until the skin is totally sealed and healed, that starch will basically keep reopening the wounds. So
Right.
and then the reactions sometimes don't happen right away. Sometimes the reactions happen in the next 3 to 7 days. That's the hard part, is to know how to listen to the body.
Or you know, it's so true. And then you'll have these days where you're like, okay, like I'm feeling very depressed this week. What did I eat? And then you're like, oh yeah, I reintroduced, you know, carrots. And it's like insane that a food can make you feel this way, but you're right. Like just you know, as far as like just be aware of how sensitive your body is, like you're talking about. And if anything, love your body for being as sensitive as it is, because there are people that um, are putting, you know, I have family members and friends that are just like putting garbage in their bodies, and they're so used to it that they don't even notice that the symptoms, or, you know, what they're doing to their insides. We at least know, like, we can fix it. I mean, Candida can be healed by food. Like there are cancers, heart disease. Like scientists have proved this. This is something that is like fully curable with diet and like help from nutrients and vitamins. And in my case, CCWs. There's hope, you know, it's not in a year. I will be honest, it flew by. My year sober is in a couple days, and I just can't believe it. Like so much has happened and changed, but like I was telling Patty, like I'm a different woman now. I have a completely different empathy for those around me. I have a newfound passion about holistic foods and healing and plant-based wellness, and it's because my mind is currently blown that I was able to cure all my symptoms through elimination and addition diet. Like, but yeah, I mean, any like last words, or if not that I could give, and they don't have to be last, but would just be to keep going and find someone that will support you, whether it's a friend, family, or our support group, or reaching out to anyone in that group. You're not alone at all, like at all.
So many people are going through this. That's the really crazy thing. Sometimes it's, if you're on this journey, sometimes, like, even when after I did CCWS and I had all this clarity, I walked into the grocery store and I would get really depressed because it was like I could smell the chemicals and I could like see how sick people were, and I could see on the checkout lane like what they were eating, and it was like, gosh, I bet that's causing all of this inflammation. It's just bizarre. But there are solutions. That's the thing, is there are solutions, and plant-based wellness is tremendous. Real food. Eat real food. Eat real food. And Candida cleanser, CCWS, it works. It gets to the root. It can't really be called a drug because it doesn't alter the human body at all. It doesn't alter any of the human cells. It just breaks down that chitin layer. I used to call it chitin too because it's CH, but then they corrected me one day. I'm like, you're mispronouncing it. I was like, okay, sorry. So now I say chitin. And just like what you saw coming out of you, it's like, when you do the diet, it's kind of a slow process. And then CCWS just really accelerates it because it gets to the root of it. And then your body can really eliminate all of that dead candida. And that's where the healing begins. That's when the gut healing really begins. And then this really profound journey of reconnecting with yourself, reconnecting with your body, and reconnecting with what your body really needs. And because we've been ignoring what our body's been telling us for so long, right? We've been ignoring it. Yeah, and now it's like, oh my gosh, my body is actually trying to tell me something with feelings. And then you reconnect with that, and you get addicted to feeling good. It's like, I can't explain it. You get addicted to feeling good. And there can be roadblocks on the way. I tell people this is not a linear journey. Sometimes we need to cleanse our we all need to cleanse our livers. And what I'm also personally really understanding is I have not had a regular liver cleansing regimen since, like, before Candida cleanser, for sure I never did. And now I'm just starting to really understand how important it is to cleanse your filter, just like you do in your car, just like you do in your house AC heater unit. When we were dealing with the fires and here in Ojai, our home filter was so clogged that our heater stopped working. Like, it literally just stopped working. And we thought it broke. The guy came, he was like, oh, it's just the filter. And at that time, I was breathing all of that toxic air. My liver was getting swollen. I was having a hard time taking a deep breath. And it's like, we're constantly being bombarded with toxins these days. And if you want to prevent Candida as you move through life, keep that filter clean, and it will help your body to be able to take care of things as it's happening. And a lot of times we also get bogged down with Candida because our liver actually was getting congested and stagnant years before. And so you have a hard time moving things out. It accumulates a lot of the pain. A lot of people get neck pain in the right side from liver congestion, etc. So it's not exactly a linear journey. You want to just keep going and just listen to the body. And Lexis, I just appreciate you so much for reaching out to me and asking to be interviewed. I love that. Usually I have to ask other people. like, will you please let me interview you?
It's so crazy
So,
because real quick, I was going to tell you, and with the liver thing, I was in my naturopath's office the other day, and she gave me a tip. She was like, your liver is filtering and has been filtering these toxins now. It's so important to take care of your liver because your liver is so busy, your other organs are doing a lot of work too, because your liver is like focusing so much on the excretion of toxins. So there have been issues with people that have struggled with liver problems, and then kidney and gallbladder failure. So to keep it all healthy and like circulating, and like because you're going through so much to cleanse your body, the least you can do is help your liver out. Like, heck yeah. Just wanted to say that. But yeah, I'm so glad. Thank you. Honestly, I don't really like, like being, I guess I'm only in front of you, so it's not a big deal, but like total stage fright, never really big into interviews. But the reason that I did this is because a year ago, I told Patty I would watch anybody's videos that they had online of Candida success stories to give me hope. And if I can be that person for any one person, if our voices together can bring someone to light, it's totally worth it for me. And I can get past my fear of interviews and with stages or whatnot. So I really do appreciate it, and everything you've done for me, like all my questions and the support group. Like, Patty, are you there? Like, it's like 3 a.m. I have a headache. And you're so good at responding, and you can tell that you're really, passionate because you healed from it with the help and with your willpower. So I appreciate it.
well, thank you. Yeah, I mean, I couldn't believe it when after I did my first cleanse, and I also really awoke to how huge of a problem this is. So, thank you for speaking out, for sharing your journey and your advice, all really grounded. And just anybody who's watching, please join us in our Facebook group. It's amazing in there. There's more than 15,000 members now, and it's active. There's always active cleansers in the group who can share their experience and their real stories. And if you haven't already, check out some of our other stories and videos in our YouTube, and we'll see you in there. And thanks again, Lexis.
Yeah, you're so
And
welcome, Patty.
awesome. Thanks, everybody, and have a wonderful, wonderful day and happy healing.